Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be talking to y'all about makeup products that I have changed my mind about. So I have 5 products that I want to talk about today. These are products that either the first time that I used them, I liked them, or I at least thought that they were good enough to use again. And as I kept using them, the less and less I liked them, or I used them the first time, I wasn't too crazy about them, but I decided to give them another try, and the more and more I used them, the more and more that I liked them. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into the video, for those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please make sure you subscribe while you're here today. I would love to have you join me. And if you do subscribe, please let me know in the comments so I can be sure to say thank you, because I would be very grateful if you decide to join my channel today. And for those of you who are returning visitors to my channel, as usual, thank you so much for coming back, and thank you so much for your continued support. Okay, you guys, let's jump right into it. So I feel like it was either my last video or maybe 2 videos ago, I did like a summertime makeup look, and I feel like kind of just overnight I'm ready to do fall makeup. I know that we're still very much into summer, but for today I was just feeling like doing like a fall like vampy look. So let me know what y'all think about my makeup. Okay, so let's get into these products, and the first one that I want to talk about, actually the first 2 are primers. So let's start off with the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. Let me show y'all what it looks like just in case you're not familiar. So that's what the product looks like. So the first time that I used this, I used it in an e.l.f. haul and try on video that I did, and I paired it with the e.l.f. I think it's called the e.l.f. Flawless Finish Foundation. I wasn't crazy about the foundation. The finish of it was okay, but I didn't really care for the color of it. When I applied this primer though, I wasn't crazy about like the formula of it, and I feel like just because it's not liquidy, that's why I didn't really care for it. I just feel like I would prefer to like rub a liquid into my face. But this one I thought was okay. Like the first time that I put it on, I definitely felt like the area around my nose, I want to say in that video, I think I only put this primer on one side of my face. I think that's what I did. But the area like around my nose, I did feel like it made that area look smooth, and it made it look like, you know, a bit poreless looking. And I thought that my foundation was applying over it like just fine. Like it wasn't my favorite consistency for a primer, but you know, I thought it was okay. So I decided to try this again with another foundation, and I tried it with like what now is like my everyday foundation, the Fenty Hydrating one. For some reason, the second time that I used this, I just didn't get the same results. I just felt like it was a bit more difficult to blend out my foundation on top of the primer, and I just didn't really think about it too much that second time that I was using it. But you know, I just figured, you know, maybe it's just whatever. I just didn't think too much about it. However, the time after that, it was on a day where I wasn't wearing any makeup, but I said, let me just try this again. So I tried the primer. All I did was put the primer on, and I just went right in and set it with a little bit of powder, and I felt like the powder was kind of like bunching up on top of this primer. And I just felt like those second 2 times, I just kind of felt like I wasn't sure why that was happening, because it didn't happen the first time that I used it. But after that 3rd time, I was just like, you know, maybe this just was not meant to be, especially because I don't really like the consistency of this anyway. So I don't know, I just feel like, I don't know, maybe this isn't for my skin type or something. But it seems like everybody really liked this primer when it first came out, and then everybody liked the Tatcha version of it, because people were saying that this was supposed to be like a drugstore dupe for that. I feel like maybe I'm a little biased on this because it's just not a liquid, and I would much rather prefer to just like, you know, massage a liquid into my face. But the second and 3rd time that I used this, I just had too many issues with trying to like blend my foundation out on top of it. So that's why I'm changing my mind about this one. I highly doubt that I'm gonna try this, you know, going forward. And the next product that I want to talk about, this is another primer. So this is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filt'r Soft Matte Primer, and I tried this one out in a Fenty haul and try on video, and I just got the little one just to save a little bit of money. So one thing I meant to mention before I started talking about the e.l.f. one, I am not a consistent primer user. Like sometimes I'll use them, sometimes I won't. I never test out foundations initially with a primer, but just in general, I don't use primer all the time. So just, you know, keep that in mind. So the first time that I tried this one, I felt like it was coming off more of like just a regular moisturizer and not necessarily a primer. Now the consistency of this is really nice because it is liquidy. Let me show y'all what this one looks like. So that's what it looks like here, and it just rubs in just like a regular moisturizer. So it felt really good like rubbing this into the skin. However, I didn't really think it was giving me like a mattified feel to the skin. It definitely curbed the shininess in my T-zone, and I noticed that right away, which that's like one of the main things that it was supposed to do. But as I rubbed it into my face, I just felt like my face didn't feel any more matte than it did, you know, prior to me putting it on. So because of that, the next few times that I used this, I said, let me just use it as a moisturizer because that way I can get, you know, some kind of use out of it. However, as I kept doing that, then for whatever reason, I started feeling like that matte finish on my face, to the point where I concluded that I really can't use this just as a moisturizer because it does leave kind of like a tacky feel on the face. And when I moisturize my face, I want it to feel like kind of smooth and almost like glass-like, I guess. So this one, now I feel like if I were to use this as a moisturizer, I would have to go on top of it with something else because this is going to kind of leave like a tacky feel. And when I say tacky feel, I don't mean anything like off-putting in terms of a primer, because that tackiness is going to be like what helps your makeup kind of stick to your face a little bit. So since I've changed my mind about this, I have only used this as a primer like one time since then, and I did feel like it was doing a better job of operating as a primer. So I'm definitely going to start using this here and there going forward. But you know, the first time that I used this, I was just like, no, I don't really like this as a primer. This is basically kind of like just a moisturizer, but I'm going to start using this more and more as a primer. So the next product is like very surprising to me that I'm changing my mind about this. This is the Pat McGrath Labs Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation. So I was just like blown away when I tried this foundation for the first time. The finish of it is just so beautiful. It is a very beautiful, like natural looking skin like finish. Like it looks like your skin, but much better. Like I just loved the way that this looked on my skin. This is the shade MD28, and the shade is just way too deep for me, but I'm able to make that work with like putting concealer in the center of my face and like balancing it out. With this being so dark for me, I still kept wearing it because I could not get over how much I like the finish of this on my face. So when I tested this out for the first time, just like I do with any other foundation, I did not test it out with a primer, and this only lasted on my face for like maybe 3-4 hours before it started to get really shiny. So I know a lot of people who have oily skin, they like to use foundations that will last for hours and hours without them having to touch it up. With me, I really don't mind having to touch up makeup, especially because I usually don't keep like a full face of makeup on my face for very long anyway. So yes, this would definitely be a foundation that I would have to touch up on the go, but you know, I just don't mind doing that. And with this one, I was willing to give it a pass anyway because of the finish of it. Like I was just like so blown away by the finish of this on my face. However, since then I have come across a couple of other like hydrating, more skin-like finish foundations that just hold up a lot better than this one. So I'm changing my mind about this one because now I know that there are other foundations out there that can give the same finish but also last a little longer, or a lot longer I should say. So I'm sure y'all already know how I feel about this foundation. This is the Fenty Pro Filt'r Hydrating Foundation. I do think it has a very similar finish to the Pat McGrath one, but just like with the Pat McGrath, and again as with any other foundation, when I tried this for the first time, I didn't use it with a primer, and this one held up on my face a lot longer, and it just took a lot longer for my face to get shiny with that foundation even without using a primer. And then more recently I tried the ColourPop Pretty Fresh foundation, and this one just blew me away too. This this one has a really nice natural finish. This one is very pliable on my face. One thing that I look at when I'm testing out foundations and is how it does on my forehead, because foundations, they do tend to crease on my forehead. I was just very impressed with this one because it didn't really crease on my forehead, but just overall it gave like a really nice pretty skin like natural finish. And this one actually lasted longer than the Fenty one without a primer. This, unfortunately, the shade of it doesn't work for me, and a lot of y'all told me in that video that you actually like the way that this looked on my face. I just didn't agree with it, so I'm thinking that y'all just couldn't see what I was seeing on camera. But this one was actually like pulling a little gray for me. This one is the shade 153C, and it was pulling a little gray for me, but I do plan on trying this again and mixing it with something to see if that helps. But you know, the color aside, the finish of this again to me is quite similar to Pat McGrath, but it just holds up on my oily skin a lot longer. So that's why I'm changing my mind about this Pat McGrath foundation. And plus, this is expensive. Like, I didn't pay for this, so I was very fortunate to get this through Influencer, and I got it like 3 weeks before it actually launched. So I was able to get this video out on this foundation even before it hit the stores, which I was very fortunate to be in that situation. But this retails for $68, and like now that I have experienced like other hydrating foundations that just last a lot longer, like to me this one should be able to do the same thing, and it doesn't, especially for this price point. So that's why I'm changing my mind about this one. And next up is, this is the e.l.f. I think this is just called the e.l.f. Precision Lip Liner. Let me look up the exact name of this. I think I just said lip liner, but this is the e.l.f. Precision Liquid Eyeliner. So this is another product that I tried for the first time in the same video as the Poreless Putty Primer. So when I tried it the first time, I thought it was okay. I thought it was a bit more difficult to apply compared to my NYX liquid liner. Let me show y'all the applicator on this one. So it's like one of those small brush applicators, and it looks very similar to the NYX one. And for some reason, like this one, I just wasn't able to control it as much as the NYX one, but it was okay. It wasn't like difficult to apply. It just wasn't quite as easy to apply as the NYX one. So what I was trying to remember was, how long did I keep my makeup on after I did that e.l.f. video? Because the first time that I applied this, I really didn't have any issues with it. However, the second time that I tried this thing bled like crazy. Like this stuff basically doesn't set on your eye. So I really can't remember like how long I had my makeup on the first time that I tried this, but I can tell you the second time that I tried it, it was enough to make me know that I'm definitely not going to ever wear this again. I feel like I really need to just throw this away, really, because this stuff just does not set on your eye. It just it drips, it melts, it's just, no, it's just all over the place. And no, I just would never, I would never use this again. This was only like $3 or $4, so it was very inexpensive. But I have a lot of other e.l.f. products that, you know, e.l.f. in general is just a very inexpensive makeup brand, but even though their stuff is like very affordable, they have a lot of other stuff that's really good, like really good quality, even though it's only a couple dollars. This one, not so much. Like this stuff, I would never recommend this. So I'm definitely changing my mind about this one, because again, the first time that I used it, I didn't have any problems with it, but I'm thinking that I only had that makeup on my face for a very short amount of time, because like I said, the second time this stuff was just like all over the place. So this last product is kind of tricky because I'm still going to be using them, but I just don't like them as much as I did like the first time that I tried it. So I'm referring to the Fenty Sheer, I think they're called the Fenty Slip Shine Sheer Shiny Lipsticks. So I have all of the shades. I bought the whole collection because I really wanted to do a swatch video when these came out, and I'm just going to show you guys one of them. So this is the shade Quartz Candy, and I know you guys can't tell, but I do have that on as a lip topper today. But what I really want you guys to see is the shape of the lipstick. So I'm actually going to show you another one that's still intact. So this is one that I've only worn once, and I just want you guys to see the shape of them. So that orange looking one, that's what these lipsticks are supposed to look like. And then the quartz candy one, this is one that I've worn like quite a few times. So I'm showing you that because the reason I don't care for these lipsticks quite as much as I did initially is because of the formula. Like, these things are kind of like a little too creamy, to the point where I would not feel comfortable like going out wearing this, if not wearing it, but carrying the lipstick with me if I'm going out to something like a barbecue or something like that. Now, if you're just going from like your house to your car and you're going to have the air conditioner on in your car, and then you're going from your car to like another air conditioned building and you're carrying this in your purse, you would be fine. But like if I were going to a cookout and I'm going to be sitting out in the hot weather, I wouldn't carry this because I feel like it's going to melt. These were just sitting in my room, and it was on a day where I just wasn't in my room for most of the day, so I didn't have the air conditioner on. And when I went to go put this on, a big chunk of it like broke off because it was melting, you know, and just sitting around in my room. So I feel like they're just like a little too creamy. Like, I have these other lipsticks from Maybelline. This is one of the Maybelline Shine Compulsion lipsticks, and I feel like out of all of the lipsticks that I have, or at least the ones that I can think of offhand, these are like maybe the closest thing to a dupe to those Fenty lipsticks. And I've carried this out like a lot, like in my purse on hot summer days. And I actually remember this particular lipstick, I want to say it was a couple years ago. This is the lipstick that I took with me to my family reunion in July in Florida, and I remember like I had it around, you know, in my purse and everything, sitting outside, and this one held up just fine. These Fenty lipsticks, they're just like too soft. The formula of them, they're just a little bit too soft. So they still like look really pretty, they look really nice on the skin, but just in case if that's something that you were thinking about buying and you haven't purchased it yet, I would just keep that in mind. Like, they will melt on you. So yeah, I will still be using them, but I'm just not as crazy about them as I was, you know, the first time around because of the formula. So those are all of the products that I wanted to talk to y'all about today. If you have any of these products and you had similar experiences, or if you had different experiences, let me know in the comments, or you can let me know some of the products that you have that you've definitely changed your mind about over time. So I really hope that y'all enjoyed this video today. If you did, please let me know by giving me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe while you are here today, and I really hope to see y'all back here for my next video. Until then, take care. Have a good one, y'all. Bye.